Jackson, alley-oop for Zach, and we've got a second tackle.
Hello again, Irish fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Basketball with head coach Coach Brey. I'm Jack Nolan, and Coach, we love 2-0 weeks, but I'm not sure there's ever been a better 2-0 week than the week you just completed.
Jack, this is up there with some of the best we've ever had. To beat #1 North Carolina and come back to do it, and then go win at Clemson, where they have not lost in league play. Very proud of our team, and I think we've found a new level of play.
Now, the Carolina game will go down for the ages, the 11th time Notre Dame's beaten the #1, 8th time in this building, but just as important, and possibly maybe even more important in the context of this season, was going down to become the first ACC team to win at Clemson this year.
I talked to my team Sunday night in Greenville about, a normal team wouldn't get the Clemson game, and that's okay because you just beat #1 and everybody's still telling you how good you are. But if you want to talk about showing signs of being a special team, you get the one at Clemson, and I'm proud that we worked to do it.
When we come back, Coach and I will break down the victory over the team ranked #1 in the coaches poll at the time they took the floor here at Purcell Pavilion, North Carolina. Plus,
coming up on Inside Notre Dame Basketball.
There's a nucleus of guys here that have won a championship, and I really thought that stood out. Like, there's no way we're going down in this building tonight.
Baseline now, Jackson. Shot is blocked. He went in there like he had an axe and just chopped the ball out of the air off the glass.
Especially the last 8 minutes offensively was high-level offensive stuff, a different level offensive stuff than I've seen this year.
Inside Notre Dame Basketball with Mike Brey is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Sprint, Coke Zero, Under Armour, and Gatorade. Inside Notre Dame Basketball is also sponsored by Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Bank of America, Canon, Xfinity, Meyer, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, SiriusXM Satellite Radio, and UPS.
Coach, this building was rocking when you took the floor against North Carolina, and your team fed off the energy of the crowd, but offensively, you couldn't get it into gear in the first half.
The building was as good as it's ever been, and it really energized us, but we were really out of rhythm. I think you got to give North Carolina credit. They really defended us, but I thought we took bad shots, and we almost played a little fast because the atmosphere was frenzied. Thank God we regrouped at halftime.
Now, the one exception might have been Zach August, who really kept the game close. He had 13 points, including 5 free throws and 7 rebounds in the first half.
We kept us alive, and we made a little bit of a run right before halftime to make it 9. I was thankful to be down 9 at halftime because we didn't play well. North Carolina was in a good offensive rhythm, and more importantly, Marcus Page had kind of found his shooting touch again.
You told me in the pregame you were worried about the law of averages, and he hit 4 in the first half, and they built a 15-point lead, but you were able to cut it down with an 8-2 run in the final 2:38 to get it under 10 tonight at halftime. How important was that?
That was huge because you're going in at halftime down 9, and you're going in at halftime feeling like you found some kind of rhythm at least before you left the floor. I thought our halftime was great. Our leaders really spoke up and challenged each other to be better in the second half.
And after struggling in the first half, you put 50 points on the board in the second half. What changed?
We got into one of those offensive rhythms, Jack. I thought we got out in transition a little bit. We moved and swung the ball a little bit more. We were able to pass it and move it. And then we got into our driving mentality, which gets us to the foul line. And to shoot 38 free throws is such a weapon for us. And now that we're making them at a high clip, it makes it very, very hard to defend us.
You took the lead for the first time at the 9:25 mark. You took it for good at the 6:34 mark. There were so many big plays in that second half. As you look back about a week later now, what stands out in your mind?
What stands out is our toughness. I thought our mental and physical toughness and our will to win really showed. And, there's a nucleus of guys here that have won a championship, and I really thought that that stood out like there's no way we're going down in this building tonight. And a number of guys made toughness plays. Bonzi, Zach, Steve, D to the backboard driving, BJ with some big threes. A number of guys helping us.
Every team needs leaders, and usually a leader steps up and stands up. It's hard to step in for Jaron and Pat, but Demetrius Jackson is doing it big time, and he led on both ends of the floor.
He did, and Jack, at halftime, he challenged Bonzi Colson and BJ Beecham aggressively, called them out, and I thought they both reacted. I am so thrilled and proud of the leadership that Demetrius is providing us and the edge that he kind of gives our team.
Coach, we've just given the fans kind of the thinking man's review of your victory over North Carolina. When we come back, we're going to show you the emotion of that win, including the locker room. Fighting Irish Media has started a new feature on WatchND called Irish Access, and this past week it focused on Notre Dame's victory over number 1 North Carolina.
It's not a cliche to say you can feel the excitement building here right now. You may remember the last time game day was here, the 5 overtime victory over Louisville. North Carolina is number 2 in the AP poll, but they're number 1 in the coaches poll. So a win tonight will go down as an upset of number 1. It would be the 11th in Notre Dame history and the 8th in this building.
And we're underway.
Carolina, in my judgment, is the best team in the country.
The Hicks follow-away jumper good.
Jackson's starting to show some real emotion right now. Frustrated, the team just really can't seem to get any kind of rhythm right now.
Baseline now, Jackson. Shot is blocked! He went in there like he had an axe and just chopped the ball out of the air off the glass. Jackson. Bounce pass, August, two-handed jam! Double Zach attack! Zach August playing his butt off. Passes it on out to Page for the deep 3. Uh-oh. Page is breaking out of that slump. Now Berry with the long 3, and he knocks it down. 37-22, 15-point lead for a Carolina team ranked number 1 in the coaches poll.
And that's how we'll go to halftime. 9-point lead for Carolina.
Where do you keep playing good? We gotta communicate more. We're not talking enough.
Transition Devo's a key, guys.
Yes, sir.
We cannot let up there. We haven't even played well. We're down high, right? 1, 2, 3.
Luger up top now, Colson. He goes right side of the lane. Another double bump is off the rim and in, and he gets fouled. Bonzi Colson. And a charge called.
Jackson, Demetrius goes over Justin and somehow batted it back up and through the basket, and Notre Dame fighting, scratching, and clawing, and they're only down 6.
We made some big ones, though. There's no question. Steve's on an out-of-bounds under was really a key to kind of get us going.
Driving into the lane, passes it nicely into hits. Shot is blocked!
What a play by BJ Beecham.
It's knocked over, no foul. Shot was short. Notre Dame to the rebound. Beecham for 3. Got it! We're tied again at 53. Hits a cutting Vastoria, who while falling down, lays it up and in, and he gets fouled! Colson to Jackson, mid-lane left side. Jackson puts it on the floor, spins, follow-away jumper. Good! Largest lead of the game for the Irish. Colson gets away from Johnson, down the lane, the runner, off the rim and in! Notre Dame 69, Carolina 66.
I'm really proud of our toughness. I thought our toughness really showed in the second half.
Bonzi Colson gets that rebound with authority.
Jackson passing 1,000 career points on the night. He'd like to make it 1,006 and make it a 3-point game, and he does.
.76, 10.3 seconds left. Berry's going to let it roll out to half court. Berry almost kicked it, picks it up, drives right side, throws up a runner that's no good. Rebound August! It's going to go to the line. Notre Dame by 4 over the top-ranked team in the country. Rebound battle for August, knocks it away and takes it away. And that will do it. Number 1 goes down at Notre Dame again. Notre Dame 80, top-ranked Carolina 76. Wow!
Our crowd was fabulous. August. That was one of the great nights in our building. And you just never were tired, and you believed because you had the crowd behind you.
Yes, sir. Fellas, we defended. God, did we dig into defense? We defended. We defended. We dug in. When the lights are bright and the stage is big, the freaking Irish deliver. You guys deliver when it's a big time trait. Big step today, all right? Let's move forward on it, especially how we dug in on the defensive end. Big time progress there. Let's bring it in.
Coach, I've got to be honest with you. I've watched that about 5 times now, and every time I get goosebumps.
Me too. That's why I do it, to have moments like that, great memories, and we're getting good at celebrating big wins. So proud of our team. It's neat to see a group enjoy themselves because you know how hard they work to get to a moment like that.
So this year's edition of the Fighting Irish become the 11th Notre Dame men's basketball team to beat a number 1 team, but the squad is far from done. When we come back, we'll take you to Clemson for a huge Irish road victory. Your players left it all on the floor against the Tar Heels. In fact, they admitted after the game, they were tired. So how did they bounce back just 48 hours later and beat Clemson at Clemson?
That's what I'm most proud of, Jack, and I think they're showing some signs of being a special team, and I challenged them with that in the hotel Sunday night in Greenville because a normal team wouldn't win at Clemson. Clemson hasn't lost an ACC game. Very good basketball team, NCAA tournament team. But for them to turn it around, find the energy after the unbelievable investment here against North Carolina, and kind of really play maybe some of our best basketball in the second half to win it. Very, very proud of our group, and I think we're getting into some new levels of play at just the right time.
And unlike the Carolina game, you were good on offense right from the beginning. You took control early, jumped out to an 11-2 lead. Clemson not only never tied the game, they never led the game.
Getting off to a good start on the road is so important. DJ banging down a couple threes, you feel good, you kind of take the crowd out of it. But then some of the stuff we did in the second half, especially over the last 8 minutes offensively, was high-level offensive stuff, a different level offensive stuff than I've seen this year.
In fact, you shot 57% in the second half when, by all rights, you could have backed off a bit just out of a fatigue factor. And again, 5 guys scored in double figures. Who stands out in your mind?
Our front line and Zach August. I think Zach August was just so physical on some of those plays. And he gets in foul trouble in the first half, but he doesn't distract himself, and he's not out of it mentally. He comes back, and I thought his will around the basket gave us confidence.
From a history perspective, the North Carolina game is the one people will be talking about for the ages. But again, you can make the argument, we talked about it at the beginning of the game, that the Clemson game is just as impactful, just as important. Why?
Well, it kind of shows a focus and a maturity and a physical and mental toughness to kind of get away from the North Carolina win and everybody telling them how good they are, and to be hungry to do it again. That is a sign of possibly being a special team.
As we head to break, we're going to show you what Coach Brey had to say to his club in the locker room after the big road win at Clemson.
Very proud of you, to come down here and dig that one out against an NCAA tournament team after what we invested on Saturday. We've really developed a cruel, competitive attitude where we take people's hearts in the last 48 hours. I mean, we are playing great at the right time. We are showing signs of being special. Let's lock it up. We're going to get out of here and we're going to get some rest.
It's time now for this week's Ask Coach Brey question, presented by the experts at TireRack.com. This week's question comes from Brian Donovan of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Coach, how do you approach a long season? What is different now as compared with tournament time?
Well, I think when you're in regular season play, you're really conscious of fatigue and mental and physical and pacing your guys through it and trying to keep them fresh, especially in February with in mind that you want to have energy in March. So pacing them, not getting too high after a great win, not getting too low after a tough loss, kind of staying steady up until March.
Ever since playing a key role in Notre Dame's victory at Duke, Rex Pfluger has become a key part of the Notre Dame rotation. In this past week, he played 42 combined minutes against North Carolina and Clemson, scoring 10 points and pulling down 7 rebounds while having an even bigger impact on the defensive end. That effort earned Rex the right to run this week's Fast Break. One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I love to dance.
Who is your role model?
My father.
What did you do in your first date?
Took her to a movie and dinner.
Favorite NBA player?
Kobe Bryant.
Favorite sport to play other than basketball?
Football.
Favorite part of practice?
Kills.
Worst part of practice?
Kills.
Best part of your game?
Defense.
Part of your game you need to work on?
Confidence.
What has surprised you the most about playing college basketball?
The intensity and the speed of it.
One thing you always hear from Coach Brey in practice?
Run faster.
Assistant coach who is most like Coach Brey?
Rod Belanis.
Player on the team most like you?
Matt Ryan.
Best defender on the team?
Steve Asteria.
Best leaper on the team?
Me.
Best dunker on the team?
I'll give that to Torres.
Worst dunker on the team?
Chad Holtz.
Best dresser on the team?
Elijah Burns.
Worst dresser on the team?
Austin Torres.
Freestyle swimming race, one lap, who wins, you or Coach Brey?
I believe I would win that one.
You know, it was free throw contest. Most of the guys kind of deferred to you, but this swimming thing, more and more guys think they can beat you.
I think Rex and I would be a good matchup. You know, Dana Point is right on the Pacific Ocean, so we know he can swim, but I am so proud of what Rex Pfluger has given to us. He has come in as a young guy, played more like a veteran. He gives us great energy. All I know is when he's on the court, he makes things happen.
You know, no question, this has been the best week of the season for the Notre Dame basketball team, but in the ACC, you cannot rest on your laurels. Another big challenge comes here to Purcell Pavilion this weekend when 13th ranked Louisville comes to town. We'll preview that matchup right after this. The Notre Dame-Louisville series has become a known classic coast to coast in recent years. This year should be no different, and I think a motivating factor for them is the only thing Louisville's got left to play for is a regular season ACC title.
Well, you're right, Jack. Our matchups have been unbelievable. Overtimes, of course, the last time they were in this building, 5 overtimes. Great matchups, but we're playing a heck of a basketball team, whether they're in postseason or not or whatever, and it's a great defensive team. This is the best defensive team we've played against, so a great offensive group like ourselves, this is going to be an interesting challenge.
Going to be a challenge for the Irish and a challenge for Louisville because Coach Brey's team is on a roll. We'll have all the highlights of the Louisville game and more special features on next week's show. Until then, for Coach Brey, I'm Jack Nolan. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Irish.
Inside Notre Dame Basketball with Mike Brey is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Sprint, Coke Zero, Under Armour, and Gatorade. Inside Notre Dame Basketball is also sponsored by Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Bank of America, Canon, Xfinity, Meyer, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, SiriusXM Satellite Radio, and UPS.